What a weekend, huh? So much going on around us. Just the buzz in the air. You look through YouTube, there's just so much pouring through and news bits and trying to keep your head level and keep your head kind of above it all. And what I really mean is not really your head, but your spirit within you. Just not letting any of that decide your emotions, your reactions, your decisions. It is a struggle. And it is a human struggle. Out of curiosity, I watched part of the, the Republican convention the other night. I've never watched one. I'm not really too into politics. I do my due diligence. I do my research. I choose someone who I believe can help the country. But I'm never someone who's like, this is like my candidate. This is my person. I strongly feel like politicians don't exactly need our support. They're there for us. And even if there's someone you vote in because you like their policies, they should be held accountable to those policies. And man is flawed. And we're seeing that for sure. We've been seeing it since, before 2016. Politics has been such a messy affair and ugly. It's been ugly, and it's just been so revealing of human nature. And I liked what I saw at the RNC, so I'll be honest. The political stuff, we kind of fast forwarded most of it. But when it got near the end, when Trump made his appearance, and they kind of cheered and stuff, because, what happened this weekend was scary in many ways, right? And he sits down, and he didn't make a speech or anything. He's just there. They actually let common people come up and make speeches, just everyday people. They let them come up and just say, why they're supporting Trump. And some of them were never Trumpers, or people who in 2020 had voted for Biden, and they're sharing why they've made that change of heart. And some of it's really heartwarming. But as a Christian, I think what started to rub me wrong was Trump is just a man, and he's actually proven to be a pretty flawed man. And I think all of us are, so I'm not trying to pick on him. It's just that the man is under a lens, and all his flaws are going to be known, and they are known. But when people kind of act like he is the champion of America, and he is going to save us, and he's going to make everything better, it makes me cringe, right? No, he's a man, and I think he's gonna put some good policies back in, and I think he is capable of making some good changes. My family personally was better off during his presidency than this current one, but he's a man, and he's a flawed man. And what happened to him was horrible, and it shouldn't have happened. And I am very thankful that God protected him. I truly believe he was protected. He turned his head at just the right time. That's amazing. But I'm watching this convention, and the reporters kept saying this one thing over and over. Yeah, there's a unified message. It's more of make America wealthy again. And it bothered me because it used to be make America great again, things like that, which I could kind of get behind, right? We used to have some better policies instilled, and now we're falling apart. But the emphasis, make America wealthy again, it really bothered me. And I get it, because you're hearing from everyday people pouring out their testimonies how this one mom who is a legal immigrant came from Nicaragua. I loved her testimony the most because it felt more like a testimony than a speech. But she's talking about how she came here, she did it the right way, she worked her way up. But that since Biden, and she admitted she actually voted for him in 2020, but since him, she's like, my family's struggling. My one son is working 3 jobs and my other son's working 2 jobs, and we're struggling. And she wasn't the only story like that. And you guys know, right? People are struggling. That is why human nature is looking to Trump, because he's physical, he's concrete, he's right in front of us, and trusting in a God sometimes is a little harder to do. We are literally going through a very poor time in our country. People are working more than one job. We're constantly going without in my family. And what I mean by that is we're not starving. It's more just, it's bare bones. It is pay your bills, feed your family. Our vacation that we did a few weeks ago was literally our tax return. It's the only way we could afford it. We can't afford anything outside our budget. We truly can't. Like, everything is just bare bones. And that's a good story, because we're not working multiple jobs. Some people are working multiple jobs to make ends meet. So here's this temptation to look at someone who was a pretty good president. When he was president, when Trump was president, people were doing far better. People are hurting right now. So you heard their hearts last night. Like, I'm tired of feeling like I can't make ends meet. This man over here, our former president, he's gonna make it all better. Let's make America wealthy again. And I get it, I do, I get it. But he's just a man, okay? And I even feel like it's too much to put on him. Sometimes I can't imagine being him. I hope and pray he's a true Christian. I think he's a learning Christian. I think he's slowly getting there and it's becoming a little more real. But he's got a lot on his shoulders, and he's got an ego that needs to be submitted to God. That is, we all do. His is a pretty large one, and I think that's what's carried him through. So, okay, it is what it is. He will have my vote. I'm just going to be transparent. He will have my vote, but not because all my faith and hope is in him. I just think that he will instill some better policies, and my family could do better under him. But make America wealthy again. I just can't get behind that slogan. I can get behind make America great again, because that's a more subjective term. I would like to see America have morals again. I would like to see America friendlier to Christian values again. And Luke 12:13. I want to read this because I just kind of feel like this is where we are right now in America. We're hurting so bad financially, economically, right? That we're looking for that fix. And many people who are going to vote for Trump may not even be a Christian. But those of us who are, I think we need to get our priorities straight and remember who's really in charge. And at the end of the day, it's not going to be Trump who saves you, right? So I'm just going to start reading because I've talked too much. Luke 12:13. Someone in the crowd said to him, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." Jesus replied, "Man, who appointed me a judge or an arbiter between you?" Then he said to them, "Watch out. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed. A man's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions." And he told them this parable. The ground of a certain rich man produced a good crop. He thought to himself, "What shall I do? I have no place to store my crops." Then he said, "This is what I'll do. I will tear down my barns and build bigger ones, and there I will store all my grain and my goods. And I'll say to myself, you have plenty of good things laid up for many years. Take life easy, eat, drink, and be merry." But God said to him, "You fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you have prepared for yourself? This is how it will be with anyone who stores up things for himself, but is not rich toward God." And I just thought of this, like, Lord, teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me. And I'm just watching this convention and I'm just feeling like it's everyone kind of pandering to Trump. Make us wealthy again. And we want to be wealthy again. We want a life of leisure again. And I just felt like, okay, things are tough, and I agree. I'd like to see things improve, but I don't want to get caught up in this whole make me wealthy thing. It rubs me wrong. It rubs me wrong. And I just think of, we don't know where we are in God's timeline. If we're looking, it kind of feels like things are drawing to a close. That eventually God is going to say, okay, time to start opening up some seals. And with that being our context, keeping our eyes on our finances, it feels like a distraction. It's hard to deny its need in our life. I need to feed my family. I need to be able to have a savings for emergencies. These are practical things. And yet they're a wonderful distraction from the fact that the context we are now living in needs to be more about our relationship with God, the one who will provide even when things look grim. So I want to keep going. So verse 22, then Jesus said to his disciples, therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat, or about your body, what you will wear. Life is more than food, and the body more than clothes. Consider the ravens. They do not sow or reap. They have no storeroom or barn, yet God feeds them. And how much more valuable are you than birds? Who of you, by worrying, can add a single hour to his life? Since you cannot do this very little thing, why do you worry about the rest? Consider how the lilies grow. They do not labor or spin, yet I tell you, not even Solomon in all his splendor was dressed like one of these. If that is how God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today and tomorrow is thrown into the fire, how much more will he clothe you, O you of little faith? And do not set your heart on what you will eat or drink. Do not worry about it. For the pagan world runs after all such things. Ooh, right? Ooh, for the pagan world runs after all such things, and your Father knows that you need them. But seek his kingdom, and these things will be given to you as well. Do not be afraid, little flock, for your Father has been pleased to give you the kingdom. Sell your possessions and give to the poor. Provide purses for yourselves that will not wear out, a treasure in heaven that will not be exhausted, where no thief comes near and no moth destroys. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And here he's referencing back to his parable, right? The man who had an amazing crop, and his response was to build enormous barns and to keep it all for himself so he could just take life easy. And I feel like that's our temptation right now. Trump, come fix all this so we can take life easy again, because we're Americans and we like our life of leisure, right? And I'm saying that as a judgment to myself. I like having money to burn. And instead it was like, remember the end of the parable? Oh, you fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you have prepared for yourself? This is how it will be with anyone who stores up things for himself, but is not rich toward God. And then I think of this, when he says, do not be afraid, little flock, I will provide for you. Instead, what does he say? Sell your possessions and give to the poor. Give to the poor. And the way he said, when you're not rich toward God, when it's all about us and our needs, when we get all our focus on our needs, and it's hard not to, especially if you're a parent. I remember when I was younger reading that whole, don't be worried about what you'll eat, don't worry about what you'll wear. I remember thinking, well, that's silly. But when you're a parent and you have children, you worry about those things. I have a 12-year-old who grows out of his clothes within months, and we're tight. I worry. It's hard not to. How will I clothe this child who won't stop growing? How do I make sure my children have enough food? But you can't get stuck there. You have to learn to trust and have faith in the God who does provide. And I know I can trust him. I've heard so many testimonies and I've had my own experiences when things got really hard and he showed up in a tangible way, not just a spiritual way, in a very tangible, concrete way. It is true. He knows what you need. Seek his kingdom and these things, and they will be given to you as well. He knows we're physical beings. He knows we have physical needs. He will tend to them, but put him first. Remember the context of your whole life. Him, your heart in his hands, trusting him, submitting to him, not looking to a human being to be your fix. Make the decisions in your life that you think can help improve it, but the number one decision should be trusting him and living a life that is about others. My heart felt for those who spoke about their hardships. We should be helping each other in whatever way we can, right? That feels like a really big task until you make it smaller. Look at your own community, your neighbors, your family members. Just ask God to open your eyes. How can I help those around me? It may not be with money. Maybe you grew something in your garden you can share. Maybe you have clothes that your 12-year-old grew out of that your nephew can use. Things like that. What is a tangible way you can help those around you? Give possessions to the poor and provide yourself eternal treasures. It helps. I don't know what it is, but when you get into a life of service and giving, it helps. Maybe your situation doesn't even improve that much, but how you looked at it, your perspective, it changed. God has a way when you trust him and you lean into him and you put everything at his feet, he'll get you through. And the best part is he'll change your perspective. It may be he just gets you through, right? You may not have money to burn, but your bills are paid, your children are fed, they're clothed. And better yet, you have been able to just open your eyes to the beauty of giving and serving those around you, and you realize it's enough. It's enough. It's more than enough. It fills your cup to overflowing. Politics are heavy, and they're gonna be heavy all through the next months. But I just feel like the voice of reason that comes from the Holy Spirit, keep your eyes on God. Make decisions. Be a part of the American, system, I guess, in a way. Be in the world, but not of the world. It's a hard balance, but we can do it. Put God first. And let's unburden Trump just a little bit. He's not God, and his policies aren't gonna the world over. If he gets in, I'm sure some things will improve. I don't even know if we'll be here that long. It's hard to know. There's much that could still occur before God tells Jesus to come get us. And depending on what you believe about the rapture, hold on to him. Hold on to his promises. Keep that balance in your heart, in your spirit, in your head, because the news is gonna jam down information that begs for a reaction instead of just an equilibrium within us that says, I don't need to live my life based off the hubbub you plaster in front of my face. My hope and my trust is in God, and he will provide. Whether the person I vote for makes it in office, whether there even is an election, whether this gets so nasty, there's a ridiculous civil war because we can't figure this out together. No matter what happens, my trust is in him. It has to be, because, wow, we fail. Even good people who love Jesus can sometimes flop. And when we do get back up, brush off those knees, surrender to him and say, okay, lead on, because I'm here to follow you. I'm not here to follow my own motivations, my own desires. I'm here to see, why am I here, right? It's kind of a weird question, weird statement. I'm here to see why I'm here. Why'd you create me? For such a time as this, I think of Esther. We all get this lucky, this lucky opportunity to be alive right here, right now. And if you're a believer, it means one thing: eyes on him, follow. He'll show you exactly what to do, what to say. Oh, where is that promise? I read it recently. Oh, it's beautiful. It's in Luke, maybe it's in 13 or 14, where it just said, when the times get rough, the Holy Spirit will let you know what to say. And I rely on that promise. I rely on that. And God bless you guys. Keep your head afloat. Use his word to keep that balance from what the world is throwing at you right now, because it's coming from everywhere. God bless.